Let's talk about those magical countertop robots that turn flour, water, and yeast into fresh bread. Bread machines might look intimidating, but they're actually pretty straightforward once you understand what's happening inside. Think of your bread machine as a tiny automated bakery. It's got a heating element, a pan with a kneading paddle, and a computer brain that controls timing and temperature. When you hit start, it's going to mix, knead, rise, and bake all in one container. Pretty neat, right? First up, those settings on your machine. Most bread makers have basic settings like white, whole wheat, French, and quick bread. Here's what they actually mean. White bread runs about 3 to 4 hours total, with 2 rise cycles. Whole wheat takes longer, usually 4 to 5 hours, because whole wheat flour needs more kneading. And rising time. French uses longer rise times for crustier bread. Quick bread skips the yeast and rising time, using baking powder instead. Think banana bread or muffin-like breads. The most important thing about bread machines, order matters. Always add liquids first, then dry ingredients, with yeast going in last. This isn't just being fussy, it keeps the yeast from activating too soon. If your yeast touches the liquid too early, you'll end up with dense, weird bread. Let's talk about crust settings. Light, medium, dark. These just control how long the final baking cycle runs. Start with medium until you know your machine's personality. Some run hot, some cool. My top tip: for the first few loaves, hang around and peek through the window during baking. Learn how your machine browns bread. Size settings matter too. Most machines offer 1.5 or 2 pound loaves. Don't try to outsmart these settings. They control kneading time and rising cycles. Using a 1.5 pound recipe in a 2 pound setting means weird shaped bread. Here's what nobody tells you about bread machines. They're loud during kneading, especially with whole grain flours. That's normal. Also, the paddle will leave a hole in your loaf. Also normal. If this bothers you, many machines beep after the final kneading so you can remove the paddle. Temperature matters more than you think. Cold ingredients straight from the fridge can mess up rising times. Use room temperature liquids unless your recipe specifically says otherwise. And don't put your machine near a cold window in winter. The temperature changes can affect rising. The delay timer is awesome, but comes with rules. Don't use the delay timer with recipes containing dairy or eggs, food safety issues. It's great for basic breads though. Load it up before bed, set the timer, wake up to fresh bread. Most common problems: dense bread usually means too much flour or old yeast. Collapsed tops usually mean too much liquid or sugar. Bread that doesn't rise usually means your yeast is dead. Tested in warm water with a pinch of sugar, should foam up within 10 minutes. One last pro tip: get a digital scale. Measuring flour by cups is surprisingly inaccurate. Weight measurements will give you consistent results every time. And keep notes. Write down what works and what doesn't. Every bread machine has its quirks. Remember, bread machines are pretty forgiving, but they do best when you follow basic rules, measure carefully, add ingredients in order, and use room temperature liquids. Master these basics and you'll have fresh, amazing bread whenever you want it. Nothing beats the smell of fresh bread in your kitchen, especially when a robot did all the work.